Hey friends, how's it going? I'm doing clean up, a massive clean up. Hope everyone had a good Christmas, New Year's Eve, or New Year's. Spent a week at Craig's on the farm. The farm where Saw Feast happens, where I run saws generally. It's a 2-hour drive north of here. We did the first 2 days was driving trucks, an old Chamberlain front end loader, loading up the material, dropping it to build the road in and out of the place, because when it floods, it floods. On the Wednesday we went to a legend cutter. I'll just keep looking over there because the neighbour's walking around. I don't know if it's the old lady or the other bloke. Went to a legend cutter. He's been cutting for I think 50 years, still cuts now. Excuse the cigarette. I'm excited. I'll let you know in a minute why. Went to his house, picked his bins. He's got fruit bins. What are they? 1.5 meters by 1.5 meters. They're probably 1 cubic meter bins, I reckon. Full of saws. You won't see any in the picture, no. They're all original saws that I had before then. But I've got as many 051, 075, 076 bottom ends as I could. Now that's a mixture of, I've got 107 TS 760 bottom end, I think. Actually, no, I don't know what it was, because it's got a sprocket and a V-belt pulley all on the right hand side of this case, with an oil pump, automatic oil pump intact. Well, the piston doesn't look very good, but I'm hoping I can save the cylinder. I think off the top of my head 5 or 6 TS 510 bottom ends. Some have cylinders on them still. There's about 3 or 4 TS 510 3/4 complete saws, no mufflers. The cylinders and everything are still on them, and I was given one 051 saw, missing the starter, still has the muffler, the carb. I completed it the other day, pulled it over. It doesn't even sound like an engine. I don't know what the go is. I'll have to get back into it. One complete Super Pro 81 minus the non-chain brake clutch cover. I checked spark. It had sparks, got compression, like I'm talking at least 180 pound. That's without testing it. But if you pull it over without the decomp pressed in, you pull the handle off the rope. It's got the old, you know, the Mac Cat 510 handles. I can't show you. Actually, I can on this Mini Mac. the PM800. It's got this type starter without that piece in it. It's got the 3 slots. It's a little bit bigger than that. It pulls the rope out. I've done, so when I tie a loop, I'll show you. It's just going to be a rant video, but I'll get to the kicker shortly. So I'll just use this rope as an example. I do use this. This is like Harbour Freight, whatever you guys call it, starter rope. Oh, clothesline rope, general purpose. It works on blowers and whippersnippers. So I did the old 2 loop first. It lasted 2 pulls. After it fired on a prime with the decomp in, second pull, pulled it out, took it back out, I done a 3 loop, pulled it out. I found a washer. I think there was supposed to be a washer on it originally, but I found one. Does the job now. I pulled it over yesterday because I'm 4th day now cleaning. Pulled it over yesterday with a choke. No luck, it didn't fire. This is the Super Pro 81 with the one that's complete minus the side cover. I just pulled it over now. It fired second pull, then nothing else. I'm trying to let the fuel soak in the carb. I did have the pump side off the carb, massaged it, lifted the tabs up because they were when I took it off they were sticking up, so I bent them down the opposite way. We've got this product here, Shift Your Bastard. There's Start Your Bastard as well, but this is multi-purpose lube. I sprayed the diaphragm, massaged it in a bit, put it all back together. It does fire by itself, but the fuel was absolutely rank. I just topped it up with fresh stuff, hoping to mix it, but it fired by itself just before now, like I'm talking 20 minutes ago. So I got that one. I got an earlier model 81 with the points ignition. I think this one I'm talking about now is full electronic. I haven't had the starter off to check it, but I'm fairly certain it's electronic. It could be points and coil, but I'm talking the other one I'm talking about. It's got the decal, then it says Super Pro 81, not Super Pro 81 in one line like the modern, well sorry, the later model. I'm talking the earlier model 81. Full black tank handle, doesn't have a starter on it or clutch cover. And it has a muffler. The third one is yellow top, so yellow tank handle 81. No muffler on that one, no starter, no flywheel. Wait, it might have a flywheel. The starter pulls are missing. No clutch, no sprocket, no. So they're half wrap, guys. That's standard here. Half wrappy dappies, no full wrap 81s. My PM800s had it cut off. and my 850 has a half wrap, but I do have a full wrap set up ready to go on either of those. But my good Super Pro 81 has, I tried to put the 850 whole assembly on. It kind of looks funny, but I'm going to convert it back and I'm going to drill the proper mounting holes for the Super Pro 81 bottom handle. So the two 81s that are missing parts, both spark, both have mental compression. The early 81 has a single jet carb, so that was the dead giveaway there. The other two have twin jet carbs and they've still got mental compression. So I'm in need of two Super Pro 81 mufflers. That's not it. I got a Super 1010. That's what it says on the top cover, on the air filter cover. Super 1010. I don't know the year, but it's in between Pro Mac and the sort of the flat top 1010 automatic. I haven't cleaned it yet, but it is going to be mint under all the years of dust, oily dirt, everything that's stuck to it. A Pro Max 60, there's not much paint left on it. I'd say it was used 2-3 years ago. It's still got red gum sawdust all over it. You can clearly see on the decal Pro Max 60. So I got them out of the car, took it each individually into the man cave, put it on the bench, took the plug out, checked for spark. It sparked. Checked for compression, but I don't know how long ago the Pro Max 60 was run. I'll give it a squirt of this stuff, which is lubricant. It's also flammable. She fired. I was like, yeah, yes. I put it on the bench next to my 710 and 1010. It's a 710. The one I was told was an SP10 60. It's a 710. Put it on the bench. Went out and grabbed the next one. The next one was the only ones, but I got another one that is missing the air filter cover. It was locked up. It's also missing the starter cover. The spring, the starter cover, the little bake light, the spring, it's got the spindle. It needs the rope rotor. The screw, they're easy to find. I do have a spare starter cover. It is a black one. Not sure what. It was locked up. I'll give it a good drink of that. I've got a can of this over in the man cave. This is empty. Sprayed under the spit back plate, if that's what you call it, on the carb. Sprayed in there. Took the plug out. Filled up the cylinder. I got a spanner. I think I got a spanner. No, shifter, a little shifter. It's a little 6-inch shifter, adjustable wrench for you guys. Just worked it a little bit, give it a bit more spray through the plug hole, worked it a little bit more, and then it let go enough to I can see the transfers through the plug hole. I don't know, 2-3 minutes of just I could see it going down into the transfers. I let it sit on the oil tank overnight. Went back out, I think it was yesterday. Went because it's missing half the clutch. So one shoe and both springs are off the clutch. There's only one shoe and the centerpiece. Went to turn it by hand, it wouldn't turn, so I sprayed some more in, and I, try to slosh it around in the bearings and stuff. I turned it around a little bit, walked away, and then last night about, I think it was about this time, 9:30, I went back out and it turned by hand. Just turn the clutch. I can't turn it anti-clockwise because the starter is still there. It'll catch. So I've got to turn it the direction of the engine. So I've got a little 3/8 sprocket with a not a sprocket, socket with the adapter that goes in your drill driver. I put it on the clutch nut and give it a little hit with the plug out. It's got spark, so that's that. I left it sitting on the oil tank all day till just before. Went over there. It still turns over freely. It's got mental compression. I just took the screws out of the starter and removed the starter. I'll give you a look probably tomorrow. This is just a rant video, me rambling of what's been going on. Looking at the ignition coil, it's a 710. Now, I didn't see any numbers stamped into the cylinder. There's possibly numbers. They don't mean anything to me. I've got no idea. All I know is A, B, C, and whatever have you. But I know about the gap between the base of the cylinder and the first fin. I know if they're close, they're 1010, 1010S, and then if they're a bigger gap, they're a 710 or a PM800. I can measure the bore through the intake. That's a possibility. But that's not the kicker. That saw was literally out in the rain, because it rained when we were there. It was under a tree in like a garden bed type thing with some other stuff. I just gunned for all the yellow I could see. But not sure if I did anything on my PM800 on the channel. If I did, I apologise. I just completely forgot. But I think I mentioned it a while ago. It was in here. That's the cylinder cover for it. I've got to go back on it when I find the screws. I got that saw off Reese quite a while ago. Give me a second. This light is so bright. Oh, that's better. It was seized. he had it sitting on the oil tank in his shed with the plug out, and he kept squirting WD-40 in there each time he went down to the garage to do something. Now, when I got it, it was still seized, but the slightest wriggle with a spanner on the clutch nut and it came free. It would only fire and that's it. So one night, I think it was when I had COVID, I decided I'd pull the cylinder off and have a real inspection. The bottom side was it the bottom side? The bottom side of the piston, so the bit that doesn't get any lubrication basically. I could have showed you. I put it all away already. No damage to the cylinder apart from a little bit of transfer. That cleaned off, no worries. I'm talking 5-10 minutes with a piece of emery cloth and some, at the time, WD-40 or inox. I didn't have any of this stuff then because where I shop doesn't have it. It does now. On the piston where the transfer was on the cylinder, on the piston, there was one little mark across the ring lands, or landings, whatever you want to call them, the ring slots, because it's a thin ring piston and thin rings. The heat must have rolled over one of the edges. I'll use this piston for an example. I've got to get the rings out of this still. So if you can see, right on the 800 piston, it sort of pushed over and the ring was compressed. So they were stuck shut, or stuck shut. 3 or 4 minutes with emery cloth. When I do pistons, I do this way, because the machine, this is essentially a brand new piston, but it's been in and out of my ultrasonic, but I think it's a brand new piston. It's just been soaked and everything, and I haven't polished it yet, but I've still got to get the rings out. So when I clean pistons, I sand this way. Then when I polish it that way. So we're still talking about the 800. Couple of minutes with the emery cloth. Not even, I don't think. And they popped out. So then I removed the rings, cleaned the grooves. Bit of 2-stroke oil, put the rings back in. Polish the piston with the rings where that little gouge was. Put it all back together because I robbed the starter of screws and the rotor plate over the top of the starter. Robbed those screws for the 710, 7-10. So I had it on the bench here with the drill. It'd only fire really with the drill. but it had 100% more compression than it did when it showed up, if that makes sense. There was actually resistance spinning it by hand, and the drill didn't do a very good job, the cord, because it's cordless. If I had the corded drill, it probably would have fired and ran on the bench here, but it was quite late at night. So I've just found the correct, I forget the name of them, the Paul activator, the spindle in the middle of the starter, the correct one for the 800. I got a rotor off Craig a while ago. It was only the one you push through the little tab inside, do the knot, or you're supposed to push it through, put that pin through, if you know the type. I didn't like that idea. I drilled a hole through like the 850 spindles. I drilled a hole right next to where the rope's got to go through that little hole inside, and you're supposed to put the pin in it. I don't have any of those pins. I lost one for the 700 a while ago. I drilled a hole straight through it so you can put it through that little thing. The little original hole in the spindle. Then put it through the hole, do your knot, pull it back through, and then the knot's flush and it doesn't jump when the rope comes over the knot, if you know what I'm talking about. Chuck that on. I found a screw on the bench here. I just found a bag full of stuff like partner screws and mini Mac, half a mini Mac carb, 110, whatever they are, carb, partner screw, starter screw, I believe. Yep. Found a screw, went straight into the spindle on through the rotor. Half the Macs I own, when I've taken that starter cover off, they've never had a screw in there. I can't work it out. And the parts 710, essentially, if that's what it is, had all the starter screws in it. 800 has the one on top. At the back, like a 81, and at the front, down the bottom, they're not in it. I put a brand new rope in the 800 starter. The dust cover, these two are intact, but then all the little windows in this side are missing. I just put it back on there because that's how it was when it came. I do have another one. I don't know what it's off, but it's sitting over there, I think. They're hard to come by these days. Put it back on. Bit of this under the splashback plate. I've got to drill some holes in it to prime, but now it's primed. Bit of a squirt, 2 pulls, and it fired. I was like, oh, look out. It actually fired and kept running. Then it died. I went another half turn out on the low and a little bit more on the idle, and away it went. It is late at night. It's 9, probably nearly 10 o'clock. But my go juice is empty. But it fired and went. It's a little bit noisy on one of the bearings, but it hasn't been ran yet, so once it gets a bit of lube in it, it'll be alright to go. But I might do a startup video one of these days once I get finished cleaning. But I might pack up now and go inside, go to bed early so I can get up early in the morning and get stuck into this instead of sleeping till 9, 10 o'clock. But there you go, ProMac 800, it's minty. If you haven't seen it, you just won't believe me. But I wipe all this off because this is how it came, but I wipe this cylinder cover, the top cylinder cover off. I wipe it all off of all the crap how it turned up here. Look at that. That's how it turned up. Goes that way on the saw. There's bits of yellow, green paint on it too. I don't know. Whoever owned it originally must have painted it so they knew it was theirs. It was probably in a sawmill or something back in the day. Could have been. The owners paint their saws or something different. What they own, a specific colour, and they know it's theirs. But that's got to go back on. That's 2 or 3 screws, I believe. Hopefully that one's still in the saw. But yeah, it's a bit messy at the moment, but that's going to be the porting station right there. Found a Homelite Super XL Auto bottom end and 2 fuel tanks. Before, this piston is alright, it'll clean up. 1200 Ace piston sitting in that box right there. But yeah, thanks for watching. If you sit through it all, workbench is messy, kind of. If I find boxes and bags of stuff, I tip it on here so I can go through it, like saw screws and mower screws and bits and bobs like that. I've got no idea what that's off. Probably a Mini Mac, which I don't own anymore. But I'm finding heaps of these screws. Anyhow, I'm gonna go make another go juice, probably chill out now, have a shower. I don't know, my torch is still, I've got to bring my welder back inside. That was out in the rain before. Hope it works still. But 625 Johnny Mark II, whatever they're called, and there's a 61 in that same box right there. That's my 116 SI. Starter problems. I need a choke lever or Duvalaki, whatever it is, for them too. But I've just been using a screwdriver. It's that tilly with the, you twist it for the choke. There's no actual butterfly in there. It must, I don't know what it does, but I've got 2 of those carbs. That one's not cooperating really well. That's the original one to the saw. I've got one in that box there. But cleaning and rearranging things how I would like it to make it easier for me to get around in here. 3 days ago, couldn't even walk around in here, couldn't even see the bench. I can see the bench, but there's still bits and bobs to put away. I think that's off a Partner 500 or S55. maybe the 5500, which is right there. It's, I don't know, I think I'm just going to throw it out. But taking things off that were hung up and putting them, I've rearranged the pegboard. These little totes, fibre washers. All within arm's reach. I got my screwdrivers up on the wall. My T-handles behind the phone on the ground there, on the table, shoved in. There's a more room on the bench. I could probably do work on 2 saws on here now. Porting station over there. Had to make up an extension lead. Goes over there, down there, and that Fordham's zip tied or cable tied to the, I drilled, there's a hole through the bracket that holds those timbers on. It's down that low. I've got plenty of room for the foot pedal, but then I worked out you can unplug the pedal and put the power cord straight into the engine, and you have full maximum RPMs of the engine flat out. But another chest of drawers down there. I got rid of the trolley my toolbox was sitting on. It's now on a chest of 8 drawers. My Mighty Vac compression testers, carb tester, pressure, all those specialty tools are in one drawer, and then there's power tools in another one, and cordless tools in another one, and electrical terminal kits, like the little spring kits, and fibre washers and cotter pins, and all those are in one, and then there's air tools in another. So everything's pretty much put away. All here's tidier than it was. I've got the socket set hanging up there. I've got the 1/2-inch ones. The 3/8 ones are here on these rails. And then I've got 1/2-inch ones I haven't, oh, they're over there behind in front of the T-handles. So the motto is tidier and more room. Up on the floor, storage up top there, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 by 100 litre. Four of those full. I've got one of PM800 and 850 parts. One's got a mobile cone matchless in it that's scored, completely disassembled. Husky 359. Then the rest is junk I've accumulated over the years. But I got room for another 5 up there. One will be 051 bits, 07s, 6 bottom ends when I eventually get to it, but I better let these go. Hope you enjoy. Let me know what you've got. If you went picking or picked up any saws or bits or anything between Christmas and now. It's the 3rd or 4th. Wait, first was Sunday. I think 25th. Yes. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. 4th. I think today's the 4th. I don't know. I haven't taken any notice on my phone or anything. Just take every day as it comes. Let me know if you picked anything up or whatever, but that's what I've got. Oh, and I've got an XL925, the Super XL925 home light. She's a bit low on compression, but it starts and runs. And I think it's an XL902 or 3. There's not much paint left on it. It's missing the top cover, the air filter cover. It has very good compression, and it fired on a little bit of this spray. I didn't try to do anything else more because it's missing the air filter and the cover, but it's not that dusty here. So, and I've got the other 2 that were left there. They're at Lockie's house. He got them for me, and an 051 fuel tank that's actually broken on the outside half, but I need the inside half. And an 084 to build. They're very, very hard to come by here. Well, they're not that hard, but they're getting more expensive. But you cannot get mufflers. So it's either a pipe or try and cut and shunt a 880 muffler to fit it. I reckon it could be done because it's a stainless muffler. But they're about $80 straight from China. The 880 mufflers from Pharmatech. But that's a way away. The 084. Anyhow, let me know if you've picked anything up cool or what you reckon the Mac is. I will, if I get time tomorrow, I'll do a quick little startup video of the 800 and maybe my 850, so I can show you as a half wrap standard 850 for Australia, because this full wrap adapters just didn't exist here. I have one that's never been fitted. It's on my Super Pro 81. I think I've actually put that video up, so go check it. The Super Pro 81 with the 850 full wrap handlebar. That I don't think was ever fitted to a saw because there was no paint off it. It's just very old from sitting around. But go check it out. Thanks for watching. Catch us on the next one. I've got to actually do a Dolmar CT starter spring repair. Finish the 153 Dolmar air filter. Double check Reese's 395. They've got to go back. Then there's 2 084 builds, I think. 1 or 2. There's definitely one, but I've got two of Reese's here, one of mine now. Then I've got my own stuff. 394 clutch side case swap, the ported one. The JB weld come undone of where the bucking spike bolts to the bottom. There's actually a hole behind the, it broke off, so I've got to do that. My Pharmatech ported 660s getting revisited. Finished my OEM 660 build last night. Was it last night? Night before. I just took the starter off my Pharmatech 660. The little carb ring with the little other ring that goes inside the boot. The wiring loom off my Pharmatech is actually OEM. Took it back off. I found the original one today. It's got all the terminals. Well, that one's broken. These ones are, I think that's 660. That might be something else. Might be 038. I can't remember. The trigger cover, the trigger was OEM. Operator presence is OEM. I've got heaps of these getting around. It's actually out of a 039. It's the same operator presence. The handlebar off my Pharmatech was OEM, so it's on the OEM saw now. And flywheel nut, because my OEM saw has a poly flywheel. That's it. That's all I had to take off it. It's got a factory muffler rear and front. The front has had a piece of steel plate welded to the front. I'd say it was a dual port, but it all failed at some stage, and someone's welded plate on it. The rears had a hole drilled in the starter side for another port. It's going to get welded up. Genuine Wildbro carb. That one from Jono and Jono. Genuine Wildbro. It's not the compensator. It's got a nipple out the plate with they make up the little rubber bit that goes on the pre-filter. The pre-filter is Pharmatech, the air filter is Pharmatech, the snorkel, if that's what you want to call it, or the velocity, I call it a snorkel, that little metal bit that the filter sits on, and then you put the air filter, the snorkel, the pre-filter, and the air filter cover are Pharmatech, only because my Pharmatech has a red light rear handle and filter cover. Donated by Reese, and the air filter cover I found when I was picking the Max. They were in one of those fruit bins. I know it's a red light because it's got the digital sticker on top, so it's either 064 or 066 red light. give you a look and then I'll go. Hasn't been cleaned, it's still farm fresh, digital. The rear handle did have the red light because it was the one I did for Reese last year. The 066 red light. I can't get that back on because I'm not on the right angle. Remember the 066 red light build for Reese last March, April, because I think Saw Feast was May. It was the weekend before Easter. But I built the saw, I finished it a week before Saw Feast, I think it was. That's the original handle off it, the fuel tank. It's had the foot pad repaired with a piece of steel and some rivets. I don't really care. It's on a Chinese short block, so, or long block, whatever they are. Reece said I could have it, so I made use of it. Even the master control switch is off a round top 066 that was in the shed fire, that the handlebar is all come off on my genuine saw now. I could probably put that switch on, I didn't even think about it. But the Pharmatech switch, it's on. The genuine saw, it actually works on that saw because the tank is OEM. It doesn't flex like it did on in the Pharmatech handle, which is right there. But anyhow, OEM 660s together, running, mint. Later on down the track, I don't know how long ago it will be, but I do have a book. I've got a new book to write stuff in. The heavy duty bucking spikes, I'll just have a look in this. I'm pretty sure they're in this. This is where I'll be getting them from. Hold on, Jono. They actually have I'm guessing Neotech 660s, 599 power head only. They've rebranded them Perla Barb. They come with the bash plate down the bottom and the big spikes. The bigger spikes is what I want for the OEM build, like Anthony Bliss's 660 that I rebuilt. Maybe they're not in here, but I thought they were. Yeah, no, they're not in here. Oh, hang on. I've just seen 372 once. No, it's a chain. Sprocket covers. Air filter. Oh, they do 660. $29. I'll have a look online later, or when the time. Oh, they do 880 top ends, $115. Wow. I wonder, can you put an 880 crank in the 084 cases and just put an 880 top end on it and muffler. That's also another possibility. I think the cases are the same, not 100%, but anyhow, thanks for watching. Hooroo. Hope you had a good Christmas. We had Christmas here and then went to the farm Boxing Day morning. Had a pretty good week there. It was hot for 3 days, and then rain, and then it was coolish enough to turn the fans off in the. I got fans that go in the lighter socket for the tent. It was cool for one day, and then semi-warm, and then raining, etc. But anyway, better get cracking. It's about 10 o'clock at night now, so hope you enjoy. See you on the next one. The next one should be, it'll be a startup video probably, or a little blurb of something, and then hopefully back into it, because I've got all these saws to finish for Reese and bits and bobs to send back to him, and then I've got to get into my own. Hooroo.